Hi, loves. Welcome back to our Monday interview show. I am so thrilled for my guest today. Her name is Kern Lima. She is the New York Times bestselling author of this wonderful book called Worthy: How to Believe You Are Enough and Transform Your Life. I will say that I get sent a lot of books on all different types of topics. It is very rare for me to read a book cover to cover. And I read every single sentence of this book. I absolutely loved it. I'm very excited to talk to Jamie today. Jamie is an amazing woman. She also sold her company, It Cosmetics, so many of us have used for so many years, to L'Oreal in a $1 billion deal. She's an active philanthropist, big word. She has led leadership training in more than 100 prisons and women's shelters across the United States. And what I can say from her book is that she's also a very heart-centered, authentic woman, which is maybe her biggest achievement in the world today. So thank you so much, Jamie, for being here with me. I'm so excited to chat with you.
Kimberly, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited, and I just have to say I get to meet a lot of people behind the scenes, and sometimes they're not the same behind as they are in front. And it was such a beautiful experience to come on to this conversation with you. And the first thing I see is you're meditating, and you're so congruent, and it's just so beautiful and so true. And I just want to honor that off the top, and also just say thank you so much for having me.
Oh, thank you so much, Jamie. I mean, I'm getting goosebumps because, like I said, your book came in and there was this space for me to actually read it. And I started going through it, and there was just so much I deeply connected to. So I want to honor that this isn't a book that's written in a place of preaching or disconnection. It's really coming through your heart, and we can really feel it. And it's full of practical advice, and it's full of many stories. So one of the things I want to say right off the bat is, obviously, the title of the book is Worthy, and it's about really believing you're enough. And I really love how in the book you share, because we've heard this before, like, believe in yourself, love yourself. And I feel like I can say from personal experience, really challenging to do from the human part of us, right? Because the linear mind likes to compare and say, well, maybe I don't have the degrees or the skills, or that person's pretty, or more contacts or more money, or whatever it is. But you really bring in, and it's a little bit towards the end of the book, but woven throughout, this idea of melding more with spirit, higher power, God, universe, however we want to connect to that. Because when we have that energy and that force moving behind us, we realize, well, I am enough because I'm unique, and I'm this unique creation from spirit. And so it's a very different perspective from trying to find worthiness from this, from the broken or the wounded part of us.
Yes, that's so good. I believed the lie most of my entire life. I just needed to achieve more or make more people happy or accomplish enough, and then I'd finally feel enough. I'd finally be worthy. And I had lost decades of my life to that. And this book and this journey, I don't know if you've had this experience, Kimberly. I felt like this book was a divine download. Like
Yeah.
when Worthy came through me, I just felt like it was at a point in my life where I was really called to be obsessed with and immersed in, and also in service of helping as many people as possible learn that they're fully worthy exactly as they are, exactly as their creator made them. And I think that the world sort of has us believe if we please enough people and if we do all the things that build self-confidence, we'll finally feel enough. But none of them build self-worth, which is different. And I love, you might be the first person that's ever actually asked that question and said it in these words. And that's how I know you went deep in the book, which I love. That, yeah, I mean, this was a big epiphany in my life. And for anyone listening to us, whether, they have faith or no faith or believe in the universe or whatever, whoever your source, your divine source or creator is for you, one of the biggest tools now I use almost every single day whenever I start to feel unworthy or to, listen to my own self-doubt, is I realize, like, oh, wait a minute. In my life, I believe that God exists. I believe our lives are divinely orchestrated. I believe that we all have an anointing and that,
Mm.
we're called and all the different things. And how can I believe I'm divinely created in God's image, but then doubt that I'm enough? It's
Right.
like the two can't exist. And at the same time, it's either one or the other. And what I quickly realized is, oh my gosh, and maybe we're going too deep too fast, but
Oh, I love this. We love
okay,
this in the community.
I it was a massive tool now in my toolbox I have to use every
Yeah.
day, by the way, because I believe for most of us, the journey of believing we're enough is like a lifelong journey of not like learning all this stuff, but unlearning all the lies that lead to self doubt that tell us who we are is not enough, and like igniting the
Yes.
truths that sort of like wake up the worthiness in us. And this is actually one of my favorite tools. And I don't think anyone's ever asked me this. This is one of my favorite tools is that I, the second I start having self doubt, what I actually realize is if I believe what I say I believe, if I believe that my creator made me and I am divinely made and I believe in God, if I truly believe that, then me doubting I'm enough and me doubting I have what it takes and doubting how I'm actually, that's actually not self doubt. That's actually me trusting my own thoughts and doubting God's word. It's actually like
Yes.
God doubt is what it is.
That's
So
I love that.
right? So every time I have self-doubt or I think I'm not enough, I'm not worthy of walking in the room or asking the person if they want to be friends or raising my hand and saying, pick me or submitting my book proposal, whatever it is, whatever it might be. I do believe in my core and my soul, like I believe I'm made in my creator's
Yeah.
image. So am I going to believe that or am I going to believe my own self doubt?
Mm.
And so I quickly just sort of like hack through the situation and silence my own self doubt that way when I make the decision to trust in who I believe my creator is over my own thoughts and
Yeah.
my own self-doubt. And yeah, that's one of the many tools in Worthy on how to build self-worth. And I tell you, it has been a lifelong journey for me. There have been many, many things in my life where I let my self-doubt get so loud and doubted myself right out of my own destiny. And I'm just sort of so passionate about not doing that anymore and about joining with each and every person on their own journey, of how to unlearn those lies and just really embrace your own worth. And it's just an honor, by the way, to be here on the show. Thank you. I
Okay.
just, after 40 years, I just launched my own show for the first time ever, the Kern
I
Lima show.
saw that.
Awesome.
Congratulations. I feel
Thank
like you were
you.
born to have that show and to share with other people how their stories. I saw a clip of your interview with Robin Roberts where she was sharing about being a Christian and being gay at the same time and reconciling all these parts, right? Because like you were saying, if we doubt God, we're in our head. We're in this limited, egoic, comparative, competitive, better than, less than, right, wrong, versus this, what I call the heart energy or the true self, this term you also use in the book, this expansive part of us, which can't be labeled, like to put ourselves in boxes and other people in boxes. And that really limits our energy. It
Yeah.
takes a lot of energy, doesn't it?
Thanks so much. And I find like so many people, it's wild. You look at like all the data and it's like right now, 91% of girls and women opt out of meaningful activities in their life when they don't like how they look or they don't feel enough. And it's like when we start to think about, and this is a big aha for me in my life, right? It's 80% of women don't believe they're enough. 73% of men feel inadequate. And it's like
Yeah.
we spend so much time and lose so much time and energy um, and missed opportunities and I think missed callings and when we sort of believe those lies and I think they result in so many people tempted. I mean, I've done this so much in my life just trying to be a people pleaser or show up as
Yes.
my representative as the person I think I need to be to
Mask.
yeah, to make that person happy or to get the job or whatever it is. And it's like you look at our world now in 2024. And thank you for the beautiful work that you do and that you put out into this world, because most people, I mean, just by the numbers alone, most people are lonelier than ever and feeling more disconnected than ever. And I think the temptation to show up as our representative and the
Yes.
temptation to make other people happy, it's like anytime we do that, we think we're creating connection, but we're just creating disconnection. We're like
Mm.
putting up that wall, that barrier between us and someone else. Like when you're not, when you're not who you truly are, number one, it's like we'd chip away at our own self-worth one representative moment at a time, because we're telling ourselves
Mm.
we're not worthy of being who we truly are every time we try to show up to as someone we're not to make someone else happy. And also we just feel lonelier than ever. So I think that, in a world where and it's so funny too, Kimberly. I feel like it was like 5 minutes ago when people were worried about, is that a filter or not? Now people are worried about, is that an AI video of the actual real person? Because you literally cannot tell the difference.
Oh my gosh.
And it's just like there's just so much disconnection everywhere. And I think there couldn't be a better time for them, to really dive into self-worth, which is why I wrote Worthy, and also for the work that you're putting out there in the world and your book coming out in September and everything else. Like we need this more than ever. Like we need connection and to feel our heart and to feel our truth and to feel our worth,
Goosebumps
like
all
more
over.
than ever.
I mean, this is it's so powerful what you speak of. There's so many moments in the book. I love how you share stories to illustrate what you're talking about. It's not so it's not cold or just, businessy, but you're really teaching from this embodied place. And I was sitting there crying. My husband was like, "Why are you crying?" And there was this part in the book that really touched me where you were talking about your mother passing away and how she said to you, don't change. And it was this epiphany moment where you realized, like you were saying, instead of trying to water myself down or people please or be what I think people are going to like, I'm going to be Jamie. And so this touched me so much, Jamie, because a couple years ago, my mom also passed away, and my older son wasn't yet a year old. And what she said to me before she couldn't speak anymore because the cancer became so much and so painful, it all happened in 6 weeks, too, by the way. She said to me, "You picked me, remember?" And it was almost like this moment of, we had a complicated, there's so much love, but complications, sort of, I felt not seen. I was a perfectionist, trying to feel love on the outside, having the perfect grades, felt neglected. There was a lot of things. But in that moment, Jamie, when she said to me, "You picked me," it was that perspective change that you talk about in the book where things are happening for us, not to us. And it was like, whoa, like all this stuff is for my growth. God, spirit doesn't give us things to push us down, but to allow us to blossom more into ourselves. So that was such a beautiful,
How did
oof,
that impact you when she said
oof,
you picked me?
my gosh, Jamie, it was a bomb. And I'll tell you what happened. I just erupted inside. It changed my whole perspective of life. She passed about 3 days later in my arms. And then it changed my whole life. I looked at everything, Jamie, and I said, this is not it. Meaning my relationship. We weren't moving forward. I was in this cushy situation. We had a child together. We were engaged, but not married. So, boom, I left. I moved out. In the Philippines, where my family's from, there's no such thing as divorce, it's illegal. So I left, Jamie, and I became a single mom. I had lost my mom. I was a new mom. And it was like, boom. And that's when my life started to really open up. And I started to write these Hay House books. And I started my business, Saluna, which is about wholeness, the sun and the moon and everything, and showing all these parts of ourselves. But it came from that, that rock bottom place. So when you talk about your rock bottom places in the book, does that really open up energy in a way? I can just feel it running through so many people and so many women that are reading your book, Jamie. I know it ran through me deeply.
When you, I'm like getting emotional listening to you. When she said you picked me, and then like everything blew up in your life, and you made all those changes. Like, was it almost like you picked, like, she's like, you picked me. And then the healing of that shift in perspective over everything,
Yeah.
like, oh, she may have, like, you may have felt unseen, like all the different things. And then having that like divine faith and like, oh, I picked her, what you just mentioned for your own spiritual growth and all that. And then it feels like then you then all of a sudden after that picked you.
Yeah,
And
it feels like, you know what it feels like? There's a level beyond forgiveness, right? Because first I was like, oh, I'm gonna forgive that, she went back to work when I was 2 weeks old, and so I had a lot of abandonment issues that I know you talked about in your book, being adopted and the beautiful things you shared. So I was working with a lot of like, oh, I have to forgive, and I want to let go of this anger and resentment. But when it was like, no, you picked me, there's this level of perfection that we can step into in the way in which we see God's plan. Like, this is for me. I wouldn't be this strong. I wouldn't be able to connect and keep striving and love other women and do all these things if I hadn't suffered so much as a child, perhaps, or I hadn't felt so alone, or, had these horrible eating disorders and locked myself up and had bulimia for years because I couldn't digest life. I don't know if I could help women work with their wellness and their energy and do all these things, right? So this perfection came through, Jamie, of I'm worthy. And it wasn't that God forgot about me or this sucks and everybody else has these perfect family lives. It was more like there's this divine order, and I'm going to play my part. I'm going to live in my heart and be as full of life as I can be, because that's why I think we're here.
mm, uh and it's like you wouldn't know what it's like to now see everyone if you never felt unseen, right? All
That's
of it.
it.
Yeah, that is so beautiful. There's a friend of mine named Roy Vaden who says that he has this quote I just think is so beautiful and profound, where he says, because a lot of people are searching for their purpose and they're like, oh, do I have a purpose? And they're trying to find it maybe in a job or in a person or
Yeah.
whatever. And he says, one of the greatest ways to find it, he says that in life we're best positioned to serve the person we once were.
Mm. Mm.
And when he says that, I'm like, it hit home for me because, most of my life, I didn't think I was enough. And I struggled with self worth issues. And I thought I could achieve enough to finally feel enough. Right.
Oh,
So
yeah. I know that feeling.
we have that common. Yeah. And I thought, like, oh, if I finally get this, and, for anyone listening, I think so many of us go through this, like, oh, we believe this lie, if I finally achieve that thing, then I'm going to feel enough. If I finally get the 6-pack abs, or I finally get that job title, or I finally win that thing, or get that number in the bank account, or find a relationship, or have kids, or whatever it might be. But all those things are amazing and can be amazing, and they fuel your growth and they build your self-confidence, but none of them build self-worth, which is different. And I think it's why a lot of us have arrived at those like external goals, and they're fun,
Yes.
they're great, but we still within 5 minutes feel like
It's in
I'm
here.
still missing. Yeah. And
Yes.
it's like we all know so many people see the celebrity, like their life, they're so famous, why are they destroying their life? Or like the astronaut who lands on the moon and then comes back, or the Olympic gold medalists, and they then destroy their lives. And it's like you can accomplish all these goals, and that's beautiful for growth and for confidence, but wherever you go, you still take you with you, like the you that's innate, that is your level of self-worth and your belief about your own worthiness. You still take that person to whatever goal you accomplish. It doesn't change your worth.
Yes.
And so I think moments in our lives, maybe the one with your mom, definitely with me, I always thought if I just achieve enough, then my parents will be proud, or then I'll, be whatever. And it just, the more I just achieve it. Like I remember, when I was a Denny's waitress, having these big dreams, but not thinking I was worthy of them. And I remember building enough confidence to launch a business and all the things. But I can still remember having sold a business for over $1 billion
Yeah.
cash, all the
Crazy.
things in my life, like
Yeah.
seeming like a fairy tale, the Forbes list and this and that. And I was so proud to be donating, tens of millions of dollars in product and service, like all these things that should make me, I would think, make someone feel enough. but they do not. They are
Yeah.
all they make you confident. But what I didn't realize is like underneath it all, I still did not believe I was worthy. And that was a
Mm,
whole different journey of like building self-worth, because our self-worth will become our ceiling, especially of fulfillment. Like you can't
mm.
out succeed your self-worth. You cannot. And when we don't believe we're worthy of something, we either won't go for it, we will sabotage it along the way, or we'll actually get it, but arrive at it feeling unfulfilled, like it's not enough, like we're never enough. And
Yes.
that moment with my mom, who adopted me, who's the closest person to me my entire life, at the very end, I always, she worked really, really hard. And I always just, thought I'd make her even more proud when I
Mm,
kept accomplishing stuff. And I remember it was her last few days on earth. And I remember her, not being able to talk much. And I was trying to ask her as many things as I could in her final days. And one of them was like, what are your hopes and dreams for me?
mm.
I thought she was going to say, oh, I want you to be a great mom or love it. I didn't know what she was going to say. You can accomplish anything, take over
Yeah.
the world. And she literally said, I hope like her greatest hope and dream for me. She said, I hope you never change. Like,
Mm.
she says, wouldn't it be so sad if you changed? And it just was like such a life-changing moment for me, because, and I don't know why we never have a conversation like that sooner. I don't
Mm.
know why. Maybe it was similar for you. It's like, it just all happened in her final moments on this earth. And it just hit me like a ton of bricks. Like, my gosh, like who I am is the victory. Like
Yes.
my innateness is worthy, fully worthy.
So much
And
bigger than any accomplishment, any label, any
any
Jamie this,
any
any bio.
mistake, failure,
Yeah.
regret, and it just was just freeing in so many ways, and helped me reconcile so many things. It's like, as I've been on this self-worth building journey, which I'll be on every day the rest of my life, part of in the book Worthy, or now my new show, the Jamie Kern Lima Show podcast, why I'm doing this podcast, this new show that I just launched, is the same as Worthy the book, which is that, um, you know, it's scary to share vulnerable parts of our lives. And in the book, for example, I share a whole lot of things I never thought I would share about, you know, things in my past, and having not just waitress at Denny's, but waitress at a strip club, all these different things that a lot of people didn't know. And I talk about a lot of things I went through, because a lot of us have pasts where we
Yeah,
think,
we all do.
we all do. And we think like, oh, someone who's done what I've done can't be worthy or enough, or someone who's done this can't be CEO of a company or a best-selling author or this or that, or the leader of a team. We tell ourselves all these lies. And, when we have failures or regrets or mistakes or whatever, they can shake our confidence. But a lot of people, we let our past,
Yeah.
like, we let it take root at our identity level, where we start to actually think we're a failure, or we're a reject, or we're damaged goods, or we're, a mistake, or unwanted, or any of those things. And then when we like have it take root at the identity level, that's when it can really impact our worthiness. And I did that for a long part of my life. Like, I used to, and I would be so curious actually about your journey with this. But I used to always feel abandoned, always, and
Yeah.
felt unwanted. And
Yeah.
for me, it like manifested in so many ways in my life, even to the point where, number one, I would stay in relationships way too long, like with dudes that were, but like I didn't want to abandon them. And yeah, I remember running at cosmetics, like, we were crushing it, like filled to over 1,000 employees, all this kind of stuff. Even then, I would have an employee that, deserved to be fired. Like, we're talking about, it was not even up for debate. And I would still hang on to them too long and think, I can fix it. I don't want to abandon them. And like, it just like, it manifested in so many ways until I realized and kind of changed, um, the label I was putting on myself as an abandoned or unwanted, and I talk about in Worthy how I went through that process of telling myself a new story and attaching new meaning to the experiences I've gone through, and seeing it as like, oh, no, 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 I wasn't abandoned or given away for adoption at birth. Like I was actually chosen. Like I was chosen
Yes.
by God to come into this world. I was chosen to be adopted. I was
It was your
like,
soul journey.
yeah, soul journey, like change the whole narrative about it. So I think with you, and you talked about also abandonment stuff. How have you kind of reconciled that? Where are you at, I should say? Your
I
many
mean,
where are you at with that now?
it's a work in process, right? Because I see how it leads to attachment in some ways. And I talk about this in my upcoming heart book, where my first son was born. I couldn't believe the love, but I also was like attachment parent, the opposite of my childhood, there completely when he was awake. I only shot podcasts when he was napping. I would write and work all night. And I'm still healing that to an extent because my kids are like, they get all of me. And it at times strains my marriage. And my husband wants more time with, he and I. And my husband is a whole other story because he was this wild love I couldn't control. But for most of my life, I stayed in safe relationships where I would be the one that could do the abandoning. Right. It's just like they love me more than I could love them because otherwise it just felt like unsafe and um yeah, just too scary for me. So it was, just a lot of depletion. Um yeah,
Isn't
it
it a
shows.
lifelong journey for all?
It
Yeah,
really is. And it
yeah.
continues, like you said. And one of the things I love that in your journey, there's just this strength in dealing with rejection. All the times QVC said no to you, and all the times these retailers said no to It Cosmetics. But did you notice, Jamie, as your worth started to grow, because like you said, it continues to this day, there's more of this armor against taking things personally, because I think that's what holds back a lot of people and women is, ooh, like the rejection feels like it's us, like we're wrong, and there's something bad in us, and so it hurts so much that we don't try.
Yeah. There's a chapter in Worthy called chapter 2 called When You Change Your Relationship um, with Rejection, You Change Your Entire Life. And you know, I think that this is such a huge deal in life because most people, especially women, will sit on the sidelines of life, like literally on the sidelines because they're scared to get rejection or failure or be seen starting small or any of those other things. And, you know, and just to do this in under 2 minutes, um, as but just also for everyone listening, like, how everything in life is literally the meaning we attach to it. It's
Yes.
assigned to it. And just for everyone listening, I take in Worthy, the book. I'm gonna do an episode on this because I feel like this is such a big thing. But when I talk about the 4 R's, like this 4-step process to like reframe rejection, because in long story short, had I not learned to do this, first of all, had I not learned to trust my knowing and get still and pray and make a decision, trust my knowing that I'm supposed to keep going, or I'm supposed to do this product authentically, or I'm supposed to, try again, or whatever it is. Had I not learned to trust my knowing over all the no's, I could have never built $1 billion business. I would have given up so long ago. That's the first thing, because it was hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of rejections over the years. And every time, even the most painful
Amazing.
rejections, I would get like still and pray about it. I would always feel this knowing that I'm supposed to keep going. And I think sometimes we have a knowing, whether it's like, I'm supposed to put myself out there, I'm supposed to be in the relationship, I'm supposed to not be in this job, I'm supposed to not be in the relationship, I'm supposed to, write a book. We all have these knowings. And before we know it, our self-doubt, other people's opinions, the noise of the world, all the rejections of us initially trying, all the no's talk us out of our own knowing. And I think like just really learning to hear your own knowing, your own intuition, and trust it is like, and literally make the decision to trust it, even if it feels like it hasn't worked before, even if you feel like you keep trusting it, but it's not going your way, but you got to just keep trusting it. Because it was like hundreds and hundreds of times where I kept feeling I'm supposed to keep going, and then I would go for it, and Sephora would say no again, or QVC, or the department stores, or whoever. I mean, it was hundreds of no's, until we finally got one big shot on QVC. And even then, I had to trust my gut to do the presentation the way that I knew I was supposed to do it, even though everyone was saying don't do it. And that was like me taking my makeup off, showing my bright red rosacea, putting real people as models, like trusting your own knowing. And I think this is such a big deal for women, especially. But I think even if you trust your intuition, you feel like it was wrong, I feel like it's never wrong. I feel like it leads us to the next right step we're supposed to take, or the next right answer or lesson that we're supposed to learn or relearn over and over. Like, I really believe that's the big thing. And yeah, I go through this 4-part process on how to identify your current definition of rejection, because a lot of people associate so much pain with the idea of rejection or failing at something. And as human beings, we are wired to avoid pain at all costs. So if we associate pain with rejection
Yeah.
or failure, we're going to stay stuck. We're going to not go for it. And so in Worthy, I talk about like this 4-part framework that I would go through over and over and over about, like, okay, identifying what is my current definition of rejection that I'm not even aware of, but it's what I'm telling myself about it.
Yes.
How do I redefine it to something I
Mm.
truly believe, but I'm not afraid of, and that I believe to be true? And I talk about, how many new definitions I would write out, definitions of rejection I believe to be true, and I'd replace them with the old, because my original definition was always, I'm not enough. Every time I get rejected or fail, there's proof I'm not enough. Like, a lot of people, their current one they think of without thinking about it is like, oh yeah, I'm not smart enough. I don't have what it takes. Why'd I even try? I'm a loser. I'm not enough. Like,
Yeah.
we tell ourselves that, and it's so painful. We don't want to feel that, so then we don't go for things. And so, like, I replaced all those with definitions to the point where I didn't even need to think about it anymore, and I'd actually embrace rejection. But like, some of them were rejections God's protection, and I believe it. Rejections redirection, or
Yes.
rejections of victory. It means I'm one of the brave ones willing to go for it. Rejection means I'm one step closer, to the yes. I'm
Yes.
putting in the reps. I'm
I
being strong.
love it.
And then the third R and the 4 is like revisit. And this one's huge. This could be a whole other podcast together, but like, revisiting past rejections and failures that we don't even realize we're holding on to, and they're taking root in our identity, and revealing what's our definition we're giving to that, what's the meaning we're attaching to when that happened, and then like redefining the past that we're revisiting. And I did that with being adopted, where I always thought like, oh, I was
Yes.
abandoned, and I redid it, and like, no, I'm chosen. And
Yeah.
then, like, I believe that. And my favorite, you'll know this because you've read Worthy as well, but my favorite definition that I apply to almost everything in my life, and it's almost always true. It's like, for anybody listening right now who's had a recent heartbreak or setback, or friend betray them, or somebody, they applied for the job over and over and over and didn't get it, and the person didn't see their value, or they sent their book out 5 times and every publisher rejected it, whatever it might be. When that happens to me, and I think this happens to us almost every day, like the friend doesn't invite us to the party, or whatever it is, right? It could be big things and small. Like, I will literally intercept my own self-doubt in those moments, and I will say to myself, and I will believe this, that I'll like imagine God saying to me, you weren't rejected. I hid your value from them because they're not assigned to your destiny.
I
I
love that
believe,
part of the book.
yeah, I believe this to my core. I believe our Creator blocks our value from people who are not assigned to our destiny. So when I have moments where someone hurts my feelings or doesn't see my value, or the thing didn't go my way, instead of me thinking what I used to do, like, I'm not enough, I'm this, I'm like, okay, I have divine trust in this moment. God is blocking my value from that person because they are not assigned
Yeah.
to my destiny, or
Like,
God is
ping,
blocking.
it just
Yeah.
bounces off. Love
Yeah.
it.
And I believe it. I believe it for every single one of us. And what's beautiful is, even if I'm wrong, which I'm not, even if I'm wrong, the result is you just still go for things when you believe it. And it can turn out pretty well when you do
And you
that.
get stronger and stronger. And
Yeah.
well, Jamie, I know we have very limited time today. I would love to have you back on to talk about some of these topics. And I also want to say that it's so apparent as you grow in your worth. Like I said, there's this part of the book where you talked about being working at the strip club and just this connection that you felt with these women who were trying to better their lives. They were trying to take care of their children. They were trying to do all these things. I just felt this oof, like this deep, deep kindness, love. The worthiness brings us, I think, closer to God's plan, which is to connect with our brothers and sisters, not to tear each other down, not to judge, but to be here to support each other. So there's this beautiful, which brings us to more fulfillment and love coming through our hearts. Because when we're worthy, why would we ever want to be unkind or say something about someone else, because we realize everybody is worthy. So what comes through so strongly in your energy and in your writing is this big part of the worthiness, I think, is the more of us that step into our worth, the more kind and compassionate and connected the whole world is going to be. So yes, it's for our personal benefit, but it's also on a collective scale.
It really is, and it breaks generational cycles, and it just all of it. And thank you for saying that. And I think like the you know I think the if anyone could just have one takeaway, there's so many in this conversation. I'm so grateful for all the stuff you've shared as well. Um, but there's so many incredible takeaways in this conversation. But I think like with worthiness, the most beautiful, powerful thing is that every single person listening to us right now is fully worthy, like fully we're exactly as they are right now. Exactly. It does not
Don't
matter
share.
how many times you have messed up in the past or have regrettable incidents or things that you think like, oh, if they knew that, like, or how many failures or skeletons in the closet, none of that matters. And similarly, I do not care how successful you are, how many, whatever you've accomplished, all of that is irrelevant. The you that's innately you, exactly as you are in this moment, like is enough and fully worthy. And the most beautiful thing is like the more we step into that, the more our life feels like joy and tastes like freedom,
Mm,
the more we like live in alignment with our assignment.
mm.
Like that's the thing. That's the thing. So
That's what
that's
we
what I'm
all want.
yes.
That's what matters. So,
Yes.
Jamie, thank you so much. I could literally talk to you forever. I hope we could to do a part two. It'd be amazing. Tell us where to find out more information about you, where we can connect to you, your amazing Worthy book,
Yeah.
social
Well,
media,
thank
all of it.
you. Yeah, so I just launched. This is like a lifelong dream, 40 plus years in the making. Just launched the Jamie Kern Lima Show podcast. First guest is Oprah. Second guest is Robin Roberts. And we talk so much about faith and about divine trust and how do you truly like hear the calling on your life and be obedient to the answer of it. And just like, I'm really excited. It's, I think why you and I connected so instantly, that's how it felt for me, is that like it's such a
Yes.
similar mission, which is like, oh my gosh, we're all in this together. Like, how do we raise each other's vibration
Yes.
together? And so the How to Find Me's Jamie Kern Lima Show podcast just launched. So that is everywhere you get your podcasts and also on YouTube. And then the book Worthy is everywhere books are sold. There's a bunch of like free bonuses and stuff on.
Beautiful.
I do a like the 4-part rejection thing. It's totally free, worthybook.com. And I don't sell anything, I don't do any courses or anything like that. I donate 100% of all the proceeds to Feeding America from the book. And then Jamie Kern Lima on Instagram and social media as well. So and thank you so much for
Beautiful.
having me, by
Oh
the way.
my gosh.
Great
Jamie, thank you
conversation.
so much. We will link directly, everyone, to all of Jamie's information where you can get the book directly. It is such an amazing book. I can't say enough about how much I recommend it. Yes, the information, but it's also coming through your true self. It's coming through your heart. It's not something you can manufacture. It's not about, all this outside stuff. It is worth its weight in gold because it's coming through the heart wisdom. So everyone, once again, Jamie Kern Lima, worthy, gets your coffee today. And thank you so much, Jamie, for connecting. I love you so much. I love your kind heart. I love what you're putting out in the world. Thank you so much, sister, for being with us today.
Thank you so much.
Yay!
Yay!
My gosh. Jamie, I know you have to run. I just want to say really quick. I have my copy here. I want to send you this. This is my new book.
Wait, can I see it? Wait, will you hold it up again?
It's called The Hidden Power of the Five Hearts. And
Wow.
there's the science, like I said, of opening your heart. There's the science of tuning into intuition, which you were talking about so much. It's when your heart, your brain, and your nervous system sync up, and also the energetic and the spiritual part of opening the heart. It's where it really intersects with science. So I have this vision, Jamie, where I'm going to make a documentary out of this book. John, who's our producer here, we both know Robert Downey Jr. I'm putting this out in the universe. I want him to be the producer on it. I would love you to be in the documentary, Jamie, because you're so heart-centered. I just felt like we were meant to connect. I read your book. I was like, oh my gosh, she is of the heart. So I don't know what that looks like. I know you're super busy. I don't know. I was like, Jamie needs to be my mentor. I want her to be in our documentary. I just feel like this mission of spreading heart, and so much of what you were talking about, there's these other tools that are, again, based, we did a research study on how you can increase your coherence in 29% with just this 8-minute practice. Just by tuning into your heart, you start to rewire your nervous system. So there's all these things that tools we can give women, which are free, accessible in their bodies. So anyways,
I
I'm
love that
just
so
gonna
much.
put that out there.
Yeah.
I'm working on this to happen.
Yeah, well, thank you. Amanda is on this Riverside right now. Well,
Okay.
I was gonna say, and she can also make sure you get my information and that we stay in touch. Yeah.
Do you?
Yeah.
Jamie, congratulations. I love the book. We're going to fast track this. I know it came out in February, so I'll put stories, I'll tag you, anything else I can do to support you and your amazing show, your amazing work.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I'm super grateful. And that was an amazing episode. So thank you.
Amazing.
And Amanda will get you all the stuff. She's on here right now. So I'm going to hop to the other Zoom.
Bye,
Yeah,
Jamie.
that's okay. It was
So
really
much
good.
love.
Thank you.
Bye.
Love right back. Thank you so much.